Hello, hello. Hey everyone, Aaron Stewart from the Little Black Couch. Thank you for joining me today on this live. I am actually I just figured something out on the L computer that has been fantastic and helped me immensely. So I'm really grateful for it very much. So here we go. Good to have you here with us today. Until we get started, before we get started, let's go ahead and fire up our little intro and we'll go from there. Welcome back. I forgot to charge my Hero 4. I forgot to turn it off. So I'm back with the computer webcam today. So you'll have to, actually, I think it might be better. I don't know. But I do like the straight on, right? You've got some people that do the angled, and I'm not. This is good. Straight on. Okay. Anyway, thanks for being here today on this particular live. I have had a decent day. I've been working on that chapter for this book that we're trying to get in and get going. So that's exciting, and it's going fairly well. Fairly well. It's not too long of a chapter, and so my biggest problem is it can only be up to 2,800 words, and I've gotten it down to like 4,800 words, right? So I'm trying to compress it down and get less and less and less. But I tend to, I tend to have a lot to write about, and I don't do it very concisely, so we're working on that. And that should be done soon, hopefully by tomorrow. Get that turned in, so that'll be nice. And then I had a cool project today where I had to change the size of a bunch of photos that needed to be put up on a site. And they came in huge. I mean, they were like 300 DPI and massive. And I had to shrink them down to 72 DPI and really nothing more than 1,200 pixels, wide or tall. That was the largest it could be. And so I was really struggling with how to kind of get that done. There's different services, but if you've got that many, you can't really use them. So I am pleased to announce that I actually built using the little Automator app. I don't know if any of you have had a Mac, you've probably seen this, this super cute little Automator robot app person that kind of sits there and it's got like a big, I don't even know what that thing is. I don't know what it is. But anyway, he's a little robot, looks like, I don't know, what was that show? The Pixar show with the robots? It looks like the girl that floats and not, I can't even remember the junker's name. But anyway, it's a little white robot. It's called Automator. It's supposed to help you automate a bunch of stuff. I've never used it. I've never taken time to figure it out. But I figured today, you know what? With that many photos and all that, I'm going to figure out how to use it. Worked like a charm, folks. 3 steps. And it absolutely turned all the photos completely. And I think I could probably just bring it up here. So let's do this. Okay, this is essentially it right here. Wow, look at that. I've got like 2 of me. I'll get rid of it completely. So this is it right here. This is Automator. So I essentially got, it's kind of a cool little system. It's not quite as fancy as you think it should be. So it doesn't do any good, does it? So I basically just have it set up to go out and find a Finder item and then look inside that folder. And it also will look into subfolders, grab everything that's a photo and then resize it. And then it asks for the size here and then go. That's it. You have to hit play and then kind of run it along. So if you hit play, it'll pop up and say, okay, which folder? You choose the folder and then you go. And then it says, do you want to look in all the subfolders? And I say, nah, it's only in one folder. You want to make sure that that's to the size, or you can change it to percentage. Continue. Done. About 1,000 photos, and it was like 10 seconds. Done. Resized. Over. So that was very cool. That was a cool thing. So maybe I should do some training or something on that, because that has been super helpful. So now I've created 2 more automations for things that I do. Like when you get email, you can get like an email from a certain person and strip it off and stick the photo over here and then take the text from that and stick it over here. It's actually pretty cool. But that's not what we want to talk about. So I'm going to go ahead and bring in our good friend over here. Buddy, looking good. And just a simple smiley face today. So nothing really crazy. Again, like to thank the sponsors, the Institute of Entrepreneurial Permission. Wonderful organization. I highly recommend them. If you have ever felt in your own life that you need to do permission at all to do anything, well, have I got a surprise for you. If you go to that site, it's literally the Institute of Entrepreneurial Permission.com. You can apply to receive unlimited permission. And they'll send you a nice certificate, all that kind of good stuff. So it's a big deal. You want to go in and get your own version of that the permission certificate for unlimited use. It's even transferable. I mean, they just make it so beautiful and so easy. Just thanks to the guys over at the Institute of Entrepreneurial Permission. Really enjoy what they're trying to do over there. So wonderful. And I like them so much, I'm going to center it. So anyway, what we're talking about today is the art and the science, if you will. And I know I use art and science a lot, but there's an art and a science to this, and it's compliments. And so I did some reading this morning. So I always try to start the day with some kind of, I spend the first hour to 2 hours every single morning learning something. So I think that that's a big part of how you find happiness and joy in life, is making sure that you're always learning something new. And it can be a variety of different topics. I've really gotten into neuroscience and things lately, and I love golf. So I'll always study about golf, and then a lot of religious stuff, all of that stuff, the stuff that makes you happy and the stuff that you enjoy learning. That's how you start your day. You take care of yourself and you take care of things that you want to learn about, and fill up your bucket. Get it all ready to go, because you're going to give of yourself the rest of the day. So make sure that you've got stuff to give, right? And every little bit helps. So that is, I probably should have done that under life hack, but I didn't. But really, so take care of yourself, study something, learn something, do something that's super fun every single morning to fill up your bucket so you have something available to all the folks that we hang out with through the day. All right, so compliments. What are compliments? What do they do for us as entrepreneurs? How can we use them to make our lives better? Well, first and foremost, compliments are really, really inexpensive. Cheap. Okay. So when you're looking for, and we talk a lot about how in the world can you find happiness in your day-to-day life, and a lot of that has to come from service. And I would put complimenting people, really complimenting people, you can definitely call that to be a service. It takes a certain skill set and ability and a willingness to actually listen and be present to somebody before you can come up with something that is authentically worth complimenting. Everybody's got them. Everybody's wonderful in their own way, and they've all got strengths that are far better than anything that we've got. Everybody's more expert at something than we are, which is also a great attitude to have to keep you humble, so you don't become an obnoxious jerk that thinks they're a gift to this world. And there's a few of those out there. I think we've all met them. But everybody out there has something to offer, and I believe that every person that we run into and we meet, we have an opportunity to compliment them on something that they're very good at, if we're willing to take the time to figure out what that is. And if we're willing to take the time to figure out what that is, to the point where we can compliment them, I also believe that's the exact moment when we're able to learn from them what their superpower is, what they're able to help us with, what we're supposed to get from them to make our lives better. And hopefully they're doing the same thing, and our willingness to share back with them whatever we've got going on that's good and helpful and whatever to them, that exchange is being made. Okay, so, and a way to really do that, a way to really get the ball rolling is once you notice and recognize whatever it is, and you've met these people, you know, there's some people that are just so good at it and they're so genuine. The absolute the the most supreme, unbelievable person in giving compliments, authentic, real compliments in this world, as far as I know, I haven't met everybody, not yet, I'm working on it, is my wife. She is unbelievable at giving compliments. And it's unbelievable what she notices in people. And because she is so genuine that when she shares what she's learned from somebody and compliments them, they basically they'll just instantly share their life story with her, right? And so we'll always talk like on vacation, and we decide to go have like massages or whatever. I'll go in and come out, and she'll be just like, like, whoa, wow, my masseuse wouldn't stop talking, and I'm like, mine didn't say a word, you know. But she just brings out, she'll ask you a few questions. She can't just lay there and get a massage. She has to ask them questions and then, compliments them on a few things that she's figured out, and then they just can't stop talking. That's who she is. She's awesome that way. I've learned a lot from her as far as that goes, for sure, and how to help people feel comfortable with you. I was not much of one who gave many compliments, which is a huge error and a huge weakness of mine, for sure, and a very bad way to live, frankly. But she's helped me tremendously in that regard. And that's, I think, part of the reason we're together, is that was very attractive to me. That she doesn't compliment on just the obvious things. She really kind of goes deep and figures out things that you didn't know that anybody could ever notice, and compliment you. And those are the very best compliments, the ones that aren't easy and on the surface, and maybe not necessarily what their superpower is, but excellent way to compliment. Now, what does this do? What does it do for us, and what does it do for the person that we're interacting with? Well, first off, the person that's receiving this compliment that has been discovered because you were present and paying attention with them, it feels just like in the brain, it's a dopamine hit. And we talk about it. So it's just like giving them a big pile of money or a hug or whatever. I mean, the brain will just say, this is awesome. This is great. I want more of whatever this is. And if you've complimented them on something that they've accomplished or they're working on, or some kind of an effort, there's the word again, effort, then the brain will register that is awesome. And that behavior in this particular person will increase naturally because you've noticed and given them a compliment. And if it's a service, if it's a talent, if it's an effort that makes the world a better place, folks, we just made the world a better place. So compliments are a way to make the world a better place by giving people some recognition for who they're trying to become, or what they're working on, or what they're talented at doing. We have just made the world a little bit better place because that person is going to naturally do more of whatever that was that we complimented. That's cool. That's cool. So if we did a better job of really getting out of ourselves and interacting with one another and complimenting people on whatever it is that they're special at, we would make the world a better place. And the more we do it, the better this place gets. Okay, so that's one. Really, really cool. Dopamine is an interesting chemical because it motivates us. It helps us to focus, right? So we can learn more quickly, and it helps us feel more positive and optimistic. So that's another thing that we've done for this person. Conversely, what it does for us is when we offer compliments to a particular situation in which we really enjoyed somebody, let's just say, for example, we meet somebody who's very kind and we say to them, or they're very generous. And you mentioned it, thank you so much for being so patient with me, right? Maybe you had a bunch of questions. And you say, hey, thank you so much for being patient with me. What you've just registered in your own mind is that you appreciate patience. And what does that do for you? You become more patient. You have now identified to yourself that being patient is something that you're willing to offer a compliment for, and now you will become more patient. So we are actually helping ourselves when we're giving compliments to things that we find to be superpowers or wonderful traits. We are now identifying those traits and those things as things that we want for ourselves. It's a great way to just get better. Okay. And then if we do any of those things, there's just a natural cause and effect from feeling better about what's going on because we'll notice that effort and it will be tied to that dopamine that we feel in service and helping another person. The association there becomes our brains are brilliant at learning these wonderful things based on our interactions with others and how we feel. Okay, so our brains will just tell us anytime there's a dopamine hit, it's I want to do that again. I want to do that again. So we're offering help to another person. They are then going to do that more often, going forward to other people, which is great because we just complimented on whatever, how patient they were, how kind they were, how gentle they were, whatever it is. And that will happen more often from them going forward until somebody, criticizes them on it, and we have a cortisone hit, which is a totally opposite deal. But here's another cool thing about it. Compliments also help with long-term memory. Okay? So anytime we're with an employee or anybody else, a child, our companions, whatever, and we're trying to show them something or teach them something or offer any kind of advice or anything, if we recognize that they are trying and they are doing well, and we just, here it goes again, if we just compliment them on their effort, that means there will be more effort going forward, and whatever they're working on will enter their long-term memory more easily. Right? So all of what we're trying to help somebody else learn becomes more memorable when we also associate that with a compliment. We just supercharged what we're teaching if we give them compliments along the way. And really, compliments that actually are part of, if we are impressed with their effort, then we can compliment them on their effort. If we are impressed with their focus, compliment them on their focus. If we're just happy that they're there, and you genuinely have to be happy, they can sense when these compliments aren't authentic. But whatever it is, and if we have to practice, then let's practice and get good at it. Whatever that is, give an honest compliment during the instructive process, and they will remember it more quickly, and it will be able to kind of move right into their long-term memory that night as everything's consolidated. Cool? Very cool. I think that's great stuff, especially as a parent and somebody who loves to learn. Whenever I learn something new, I will always say out loud something like, "Oh, that's cool. That's really cool. I love to know that. I'm glad that I just read that. That's really cool." Because I want myself to hear that I think that that's important. And I want my brain to register, okay, Aaron thinks that's important. We need to hold on to that. And I want to feel the effects of complimenting myself for my effort. Because I like a dopamine hit just as much as the next guy, as do all of you, hopefully. That's what we're going after. It's a great way to find peace, joy, happiness, and purpose and optimism in sometimes a crazy, difficult world, right? So it's a good way to do it. Now, I kind of briefly mentioned this, but I wanted to jump back into it. Fake compliments or insincere praise have the opposite effect. They can be disastrous. Now, the brain initially, when you provide a compliment, the brain will initially give them a little dopamine hit so they'll be happy about it. But then as they think about it and they realize that it was not authentic, that you were being sarcastic or insincere, whatever it is, then now you've made it, you've changed the whole purpose of that compliment and you've made it a negative experience, and that builds distrust in the person giving the compliment. So now you've tried to butter them up or whatever, and now they don't trust you. They think that you're inauthentic, you're fake, you're just trying to get something out of them. And so that little brief bit, that little tiny dopamine hit isn't going to get past that distrust that they're going to have with you going forward. So if you don't have an authentic compliment, don't try to butter them up. It's not going to work. It's going to backfire. It's not worth it. Instead, let's take time to be authentic, outside of ourselves, present, learn who they are, and let's compliment them on something that we're actually impressed with. Not try to just get through it really quickly so we can get what we want, right? The insincere garbage that sometimes we feel from folks, right? Sometimes in the service industry. I'll notice you can really tell in servers, right? In a restaurant, those that are just kind of going through the motions and those that are really interested in you and making sure that you have a good experience. It's completely different, and it's based on how present they are to you. And then if somebody happens to offer you a compliment and all of that, or this is really great, if you offer them a compliment back, you want to get drinks every single time, then when they set it down, say, thank you, I really appreciate you keeping my drink full. It means so much to me. Thank you so much. You're awesome at that. You will never, ever have an empty drink, right? They just had a dopamine hit. They don't know what's going on, but all they know is their brain wants more of it, and they know you're the one that's going to give them a compliment. You will enjoy full diet Pepsis for the rest of your dinner. And if you're my wife, full diet Cokes. Don't get me started. Okay, so, and then the last and final thing, if we can make a concerted effort to complement one another more efficiently and effectively and truthfully, then we can literally make the world a better place. It's hard for me to say nothing, but it feels great to give a compliment to somebody who has earned that compliment. It feels great to be so connected with somebody that you've noticed some place or something or some talent where you can offer a compliment sincerely and watch their eyes light up, know that you've done some really good service for them that day, and that you've developed a talent for yourself. And you've also identified something that's important to you to yourself, so you can hopefully get better yourself. That's awesome. Now, on top of that, I know we go a lot into, I don't know that for sure. I feel like we go a lot into effort. Maybe you don't, and those that haven't watched all the videos maybe don't feel that way at all. But those that have know that I'm a big believer in making sure that we recognize our effort and not get too caught up in our goals and the long-term stuff, but make sure that we're happy all the way along. This is a great way to do that. If you've done something well, if you are good at something and you've helped somebody or whatever, it is absolutely not imperative, but I think so important that when you have taken the time to connect with somebody, when you've been present enough to understand what maybe their talents or superpowers or whatever those are, and then have complimented on those, have gotten the brightened eyes and made their day better and provided a great deal of service, it's important to make sure that we go back and say, you know what? That was awesome. That was fun. I'm glad I did that. I'm glad I was present to that person. I'm glad I was able to pick out their superpower, and I'm so grateful that I was able to compliment them. That was really a great thing that I just did. Okay. That goes such a long way to finding long-term, consistent happiness when we're recognizing the good that we're doing in the world and the tiny little efforts we're making. That changes it. It changes your focus, it changes your ability to remember things, it changes your ability to stay motivated, it ups your ability to be kinder, gentler, more creative. There is nothing bad about giving a compliment. And if we use it the right way and leverage the power of compliments, we can make the world a better place as we make ourselves better versions of what we're trying to become. So that was it for today. That's what I learned this morning. I was excited to share that with you. And the automation piece. That's cool. That's cool. If anybody would like to know how to use Automator, I kind of gave myself a brief sort of lesson on it today, read up a bunch of stuff on it, and got decent at it. I created 3 automations today that will save me a lot of time in my work going forward. So cool stuff. Thanks for joining me today. Aaron Stewart from the Little Black Couch. Go out there and compliment somebody. Be present, see who they are, and then take those strengths and make them part of your own life, and then make sure that you're always rewarding yourself for your own effort. Let's do it. Until then, until next time, until we run into each other on the streets, be good and be well. Thanks.